Hey everybody, how are you today? It's Friday. It's not exactly 3 o'clock, but I'm usually late for just about everything. So, I told you guys I would talk about what's different this time. First, I want to say that again, thank you everybody for the comments that I got. I got a lot of questions. I think I'm gonna answer most of the questions right now, but specifically I read a post, Becky, that really touched me what you said. I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, I appreciate it. I have shared it to some of the other groups, and please feel free for you to do it too. Lisa, you asked me a question, and other people have asked it too. What I'm recovering from, which is cocaine and heroin. Um, it took a long time for me to even be able to just say that. Um, Pam, my house. I really, really, really don't want to talk about my house. It's a very sore subject for me of why I'm not there, but it's gonna kind of get explained right now. Uh, and Annette, I just read your post just a minute ago, and so yeah, so I'm late. So I'm like, what's different now? So as I told you guys, it was October 26th, 2018. It was really the worst day of my entire life, and so that's kind of where everything starts is on that day. And the first thing about what's different now, what's different this time than any other time, and I said there was one thing that made all the difference, and I'm going to get into that. So that day, when I got arrested that day, obviously, and I remember going to the police department, and it was the end of 4 months of just a battle. It was a 4 month battle of myself. I wasn't a very likable person. I didn't like myself too much. And I remember all I wanted to do was get to that police station. I wanted to use the phone. I wanted to call my girlfriend. I knew she was gonna be pissed, but it's all I had. She was everything to me. And I got there, and I did. I used the phone, and I was so delusional in how poorly I treated her that I didn't even realize. Like it was just I was that bad. I was really that bad. She basically hung the phone on me, and that's pretty much she yelled at me, and that's told me not to ever call her again. And I haven't talked to her since October 26, 2018, and that really hurt really bad. Um, I'll get into more about that in a minute. But so after that, I remember sitting in that jail cell, and I was thinking like, my fucking life is over. Like I just lost everything, and then that phone call getting hung up on, kind of like iced the cake for me because she was my world. I mean, she probably doesn't know that because of the way I treated her and the way I acted when I was actively using. It was horrible, and I know it was. And I feel really guilty and ashamed of the things that I did to somebody that did nothing but love me. And I hope one day that I get to apologize to her. I sitting in that cell, man. I kid you not. I was wearing a suit that day because I wore a suit most days, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't want this cop to take my fucking suit because I want to end this shit, and I wanted to use my belt, and I just wanted it to be over. And it's really sad because I had a friend that actually committed suicide due to this disease, and and my thought in my head was I was that sick and that deluded that if Tony can do it, I can do it. And it was really like, thankfully that cop helped me. He didn't even realize he did, because he did what he did to demean me. He came in and he made me strip my clothes off, and he watched me take my suit away from me and put on the prisoner clothes. What he didn't realize, by doing that, he definitely saved my life. I finally got out of jail. I was there for a couple, like 12 days, and the only thought I had was, I just want to get fucking high. I just want this pain to go the fuck away. And I ended up getting out. I thought I'd be going home, but I didn't. I'm on parole, and my parole officer called my girlfriend, or however that transpired, I don't even know. Either way, she said, I don't want him here. And so parole said, they told me I'm not allowed to contact her, and I'm not going to my house. They stuck me in a halfway house out in Middletown. And I remember thinking, like, fucking motherfucker, like, this is like, what, how bad can this possibly get? How much worse can this get? So I get to the halfway house, and all I wanted to do was just get fucking high. and I get there, and then Pearl drops me off. They leave, and then I was still withdrawing really bad, and it had been 12 days. I mean, it took about a month for all the drugs to actually come out of my system. Believe it or not, it actually took a month. And luckily, things happened the way they did, as much as I didn't want them to, because what's different this time? I was in that halfway house, and I'm talking to people, and I'm just like depressed, and I'm broken, and I'm, like I said, I'm going through that withdrawals from the fucking fentanyl and the crack, and like my life is a mess, and I got nobody to talk to about it because, like I said, my girlfriend was my world, and my best friend, and she's gone, and it's like, fuck. It's like, what do you do? And then I was talking to somebody in the halfway house, and I'm telling him my fucking sob story, and the guy kind of looked at me, and he's like, because I told him, I said, I fucked it up, and everything's over, blah, blah, blah. He's like, dude, you're alive, man. He's like, matter of fact, he goes, you know what? I'm not going to listen to you whine anymore. He's like, I'm sick of listening to you whine. He goes, why don't you get up off your ass and do something about fixing your life instead of just bitching about how badly you fucked it up. And I thought about what that dude said. I'm like, wow. He's like, this dude's fucking right. Like, I fucked it up. And so since then, I started going. Took about 2 months. I went to therapy for 2 months, 5 hours a day for 2 months. And because I was that bad. I was that broken. I wasn't on my correct mental health meds. So I did that. I went to therapy 5 days a week, 5 hours a day for 2 months, all in November, all in December. And then also in November, I started going to NA meetings. And I'll tell you what, they talk about that miracle. And that's where it really started to happen for me. I mean, it's not over. It didn't fully happen, but it's well on its way. That's where I made that decision that, you know what, I never want to feel this way again. I never want to feel lost and confused and alone. And, it just was fucking horrible. It was just a horrible fucking feeling. And the worst part of it all was that when my girlfriend left, that really struck me. It really did. We were together over 5 years, and although my deluded mind, because of the drugs, didn't realize how poorly I treated her, I was in therapy one day, and I was sitting next to this girl, and she was actually in therapy because she was with a guy for 5 years. Funny how the similarities are all speckled through this. And she was not there because she was a drug addict. She was there because she was on the receiving end of it. And when I listened to her talk about the pain and the things that she went through and how it drained her emotionally and mentally and physically, and just the hurt and the torment that this boyfriend of hers put her through, it like hit me like a ton of bricks, smacking me in the fucking face. I started to cry, and she thought I was crying in sympathy for her. Little did she know I was crying because I was that boyfriend. I wasn't her boyfriend, but that's who I was.